What's the deal? What's the deal? Peace, so tap. We back in this motherfucker. Asha, Renu. You already know who it is. You already know who we get down. We're going to give people time to come in. So give me 1 second. What's the deal? What's the deal? What's up? What's good, everybody? What's going on? Peace. What's up, Moon Spirit? What's up, Inside the Vibe? Shout out to you, pimping. We got the logo template soon. It's no rush, man. We good. We good. Take your time. Finally made it. What's good? Astro King, what up? Brianna, what's up? Robert, what's up? What is it? Keenan? Hopefully I'm saying that right. Yeah, you already know the Birdman hand rub. Somebody pointed that out. You already know. Shout out to fucking Birdman. What's up, Candace? What's good? What's up, Crank? Respect. Everything is fine. What is this? Piece from, what is this? Bosnia? Hopefully I'm saying that right. Shout out to you. Peace and chaos. What's up, Psycho Knot? What's good? What's good? 444. What's good? What's everybody been up to? Everybody putting in that work? Let me know what's up before we even get in, before we even go in. But of course, we got to talk about the mathematics. I believe today is the second day. Let me make sure. February the 2nd. So we got February the 2nd month, the second day. So we dealing with definitely the moon. Of course, it's 2018, which is it's the year of the 2 as well, actually. So we in the second month, the second day. We break down 2018 and break down to the number 2. So 222, for those who may not have known, which breaks down to 6, number of Venus. 2 is the number of the moon. So we're definitely dealing with a lot of soul energy. 2, you can say, is a number of the soul. So to express your soul, to even become acquainted with your soul, 222, for those who may not have known. So 222, if you want to tap into the beauty of your soul, because that's the 6 going from the 222. So soul going into the beauty or the physical expression of life to balance out things, right? So just a quick thing with that, just in case y'all wanted to know. But we're going to go in. We're not going to waste no more time. How to tap into the erotic nature of reality. Now, what is this talking about? As we know, life is psychedelic. The only reason it seems like life is not psychedelic is because we are in an artificial environment, right? Already know that. So today we plan on tapping back into the erotic nature of reality as a consistency, not something that you go in and go out and you forget. And you know what I mean? Because I get asked this question probably more than any other question. You know, how to, build up your sex appeal, how to attract more women, how to attract more men, how to get your sexual juices flowing. I get these questions way more. So might as well make a video about it and speak about it publicly, right? You just want to say you're grateful for my service. Watching the videos allowed me to unlock my dark side, which was attached to the other side. Even rap music used to feel uncomfortable. Shout out to you, JJ, because we already know. We mixing that light and the dark. We mix the light and the dark. You know what I mean? We not neglecting the dark and we not neglecting the light. We mixing that shit in. What's up? So, if we break down the word erotic, so let's get it straight into it. If we break down the word erotic, E-R-O-T-I-C, we get the number 7. Now, it seems weird because the number 7 is a spiritual number. Number 7 is, leave me alone. I'm going to go into my dojo and I'm going to meditate all day. That's like the number 7. So the number 7 is just strictly concerned with the spiritual, not really putting too much emphasis on the physical. So you would say, okay, why does erotic, which is, sexual arousal and just the sexual nature of life, why does that break down to the number 7, which is, dealing strictly with spirituality, which isn't really concerned with sexuality on the surface? As you begin to break down more words, you will start to see these correspondences. Your life path is a number 7. Sharice, you already know, you're probably good with the pen. Number 7 is all about that pen work, so you're probably good with the pen. So, why does erotic break down to the number 7? Erotic breaks down to the number 7 is because although it's about sexuality and it's about arousal, it's strictly spiritual. And what I'm going to do here, I'm going to use the 7 universal laws to break down what erotic means. This is why I emphasize knowing all these things by heart, because I'm going to show you how you can use these things instantly. So, let's go through the 7 universal laws for those who may not know what they are. Mentalism, correspondence, vibration, polarity, rhythm, causation, and gender. Right? You've been seeing so many 7s lately. Definitely keep 777 on your mind all day, and I guarantee you're going to see 7s all over the place. 777, 777, 777, 777, 777, 777, 777. You know, you become like a robot with the shit. So if you really want to tap into the real spirit, definitely chant 777, since we're dealing with, you know, the 7 universal laws. So definitely 7 is definitely the number of completion from a different system, but we don't have to deal with that. But let's deal with the 7 universal laws. So let me catch my breath. Let's get it in. We don't want to miss no points. All right. The first law is the law of mentalism. What is the law of mentalism? All is the mind. Everything is mental. Nothing is physical. The physical does not exist. It just appears to exist, but that's dealing with vibration, that everything is constantly moving, nothing is standing still, but we'll get to that in just a second. So the first universal law, the law of mentalism, everything is mind, all is the mind. Now, how do we apply that to tapping into the erotic nature of reality? It's dealing with the mindset. It all starts with a mindset, or a mind state, a mindset, a mentality, you know, your imagination and your logic. In other words, we're not talking about going out and doing anything just yet. Because the first 5 universal laws deal strictly with the mental. You don't get to actually doing things until you get to the 6th and the 7th law. So these first 5 laws are dealing strictly with mentalism, at least from my perspective. Now, again, everybody will have their own perspective, just sharing my insight. So the first law is just understanding that everything is mental. It isn't about what you're doing physically, how you look, what you're doing. You know, everything that people, as we said, erotic deals with the number 7. What's up, Marissa? What's good? Peace. As we said, erotic breaks down to the number 7. Doesn't break down to the number 9. Doesn't break down to the number 3. Doesn't break down to any sexual number. Erotic breaks down to the number 7 because, as we see, it starts in the mind. It's a mentality. You have to have an erotic mentality. Now, what the fuck is an erotic mentality? It's a psychedelic mentality. It's about exploring reality beyond the limitations and the boundaries that have been set before us. So you go here, don't go there. Do this, don't do that. So we'll first start with the mentality to go beyond the limitations of what we feel is right and wrong, or, you know, being a human. For example, we all have these naughty, dirty thoughts or whatever, but most people feel bad about it. That's the thing. You allow your imagination to run wild with these thoughts, these erotic thoughts, right? Now, what happens when you start to place your mind or concentrate your thought on those erotic thoughts? What happens next? We move on to the second law, which is the law of correspondence. As you focus your mind on these erotic thoughts, it's going to attract thoughts that are of the same frequency or the similarities, right? So it may start off as you want to be sexual, but then it builds, okay, well, how do I do that? You know, you start to, okay, how do I actually manifest this? I understand the mentality. I understand I need to keep my mind focused. I need to open up this portal by concentrating my thoughts continuously for, again, 8 hours a day for 45 days. If you want to get results, for all those who need a timeline, 8 hours a day for 45 days. And again, for all those who don't have patience, then you must not truly want results. But let's get back. Correspondence. You're going to attract more and more similar thoughts to yourself. And what you want to do when you start to see these symbols, as some people call synchronicity, correspondence can be called synchronicity. So when you keep your mind concentrated on these erotic thoughts, you're going to start to have synchronistic moments. You're going to start to see things that mimic what you're thinking. Then your job at that point is to connect the dots. Let me slow down. When you start to see or have those synchronistic moments, it's your job to not only notice the synchronicity, but to connect the dots. Okay, I know what I'm thinking in my mind, and I'm starting to see things that's reflecting my thoughts on the outside, whether it be somebody looking at me with the sexual eye, or it may be a symbol. It may be symbols. Most of the time, the correspondences start as symbols before it starts with you actually interacting with people. It may be what your mind directs your eyes to automatically without you having to think about it. That's the correspondence. So once you concentrate your thoughts on the erotic nature of reality or the psychedelic nature of reality, you want to be able to connect the dots when you see the synchronistic moments happening all around you. The more and more you can pick up on the synchronicity, the grander and the bigger or the more concentrated or compressed the thought becomes so that you can open up this portal. What's the next thing? We move on to vibration. The law of vibration. Everything is constantly moving. Nothing stands still. This is why the physical reality doesn't exist the way we think it is, because although things appear to not be moving, just like if you're looking at me right now, I appear to be a solid thing. But the vibrations are so subtle, or more so quick. They're moving so fast that we cannot detect movement. And again, movement is actually the mind. Like for example, motion pictures, which is just picture after picture after picture after picture, but it appears to be moving. When you're just seeing images, right, going from each other. Or in other words, it appears to be moving, although you're just seeing image after image after image after image after image, but it appears to be moving. So it appears to be a motion picture, although it's a bunch of pictures compiled together that appears to move, but doesn't really move. Or in other words, animation. So, understanding vibration, we understand that we have to build up momentum. Once we start to notice the synchronicity all around us, it starts to build up momentum. So you start to gain more and more confidence that your thoughts are actually penetrating your subconscious mind. So once your thoughts are penetrating your subconscious mind, it starts to build up momentum. So once you start connecting the dots, it's building up more and more energy and momentum for you to eventually manifest in the physical or the so-called physical reality. But it starts with building up that momentum from having that mindset, not allowing it to switch and veer off nowhere, detecting the correspondences, then expanding and building on that momentum that you're gaining from picking up or on the synchronistic moments or the correspondences. It builds up momentum. What's the next step? The next step is polarity, opposites, or opposition. So what happens at this point, when you start to build up momentum, now you're going to have something that's trying to take you off course. You may run into somebody or something that's telling you, you shouldn't be thinking like that. Or people's favorite expression is, you need to grow up. It's childish to think like that. It's childish to have perverted thoughts and all that, right? Grow up. You shouldn't be thinking like that. You should be an adult, right? You have people saying this shit, right? Or you may run into, it may not be an actual person. And again, it just may be something in your reality that's telling you, why am I thinking like this? I should be thinking about paying my bills or a better job or something, right? Incorrect. When you build up that momentum, you're going to have something that's going to come that's going to slide in and try to veer you off because you are opening up a portal. And of course, this portal doesn't want to be open if it's not supposed to be open. In other words, if you're not serious about opening up this portal of eroticism, then it's going to close up if you get thrown off. So if you are strong enough mentally, if you are strong enough in your mind to not get thrown off when you're faced with opposition, it's going to build even more momentum because now you're dealing with opposing forces and you are integrating these opposing forces together. So you're using the opposing forces as motivation instead of something that becomes a distraction. Something that's supposed to be a distraction becomes your motivation. That's when we're dealing with the law of polarity. So if you can understand, okay, just because I want to open up the erotic nature or the erotic nature of reality doesn't mean that it's just going to open up because I want it to. I need to have that positive or that masculine force as well as that feminine force. I need both and I need to integrate them. I need to blend them in together in order for it to manifest. Can't nothing manifest just with positive. Can't nothing manifest just with negative. That's why positive thoughts are not enough. You need that negative force as well. You need both. Right? What's going on, Queen of Success? What's up? Now we move on to rhythm. Once you build up that momentum, now you're dealing with opposing forces and you're integrating these opposing forces. Now you're dealing with rhythm. What's rhythm? Everything has peaks and valleys, like a wave, right? Everything has peaks and valleys. Especially with the emotions. You have peak emotions, then you have times where you're not really feeling right. So what is this talking about? Maximizing the peaks and minimizing the valleys. In other words, what's going on, Afro Pick? In other words, when you have your peak emotional responses, because you're building up this momentum, right? When you're building up this momentum, it's stirring up your emotions. Build up the momentum, it stirs up the emotions, which will become a peak. So you're building this energy up. As I said, you're building up momentum, so you're going up to the peak. Once you hit the peak, you want to maximize that peak. So when you're at that peak, that's the perfect time to open up the portal. You don't want to try to open up the portal when you're going through the valleys or the opposition. You can say you want to maximize when your emotions are at their peak, and you want to minimize when your emotions, you kind of just don't feel anything. You want to minimize emotionlessness, maximize peak emotions. Or in other words, when you build up the momentum, when you hit the peak, when you feel like your emotions are stirred up, so you got your mind on point. You got your mind so much on point, it starts to stir up your emotions, and you start to feel the energy within you surging. Now that's when you can detect energy. For anybody who has fasted for a few days, you know how it feels to feel that electric surge running throughout your body, right? Once you start to feel that, you start to feel all these surges going up and down your body, you want to maximize that so you can direct the energy, instead of you're trying to do something where you don't feel anything. And so that's what I mean by maximizing the peaks. So we understand rhythm, there's peaks and valleys. So when you hit the peak, maximize the peak. When you hit the valley, you want to minimize that. So don't try to do magical work when you're not in the mood, when you don't feel that stirred up emotions. You want to wait until it goes back up to the peak, because we understand rhythm. It's always going to be a peak and it's always going to be a valley. It's to minimize the valley. Don't get too caught up with the valleys and maximize the peaks. Rhythm. What's the next thing? Now we're going to causation, or the law of cause and effect. Now we're actually dealing with the physical reality. In other words, now that let me read these notes. Now you can direct the energy physically into something. Because now that you maximize the peaks and minimize the valleys, you have built up enough energy to direct it towards something. Because now the portal is open, the womb is open, but now you have to use that masculine force to actually penetrate the open portal or the open vortex, penetrate the vortex so that you can implant your seed into the vortex. You know, sex, right? Mental sex. Once the vortex is open, you use your thoughts and direct the thoughts into the open vortex, plant your seed physically. Now we're going to start to see people start to look at you different, and your energy and your aura starts to change now, because now you're directing the energy outside of yourself. So it started as a thought. That thought has now built up enough momentum to be directed outside of yourself. And once you're able to direct the thoughts outside of yourself, now we're dealing with actually interacting with people, places, and things. So people are going to be able to pick up on all this energy that you built up on. Because again, never judge a situation based off of what happened before. So let's just say you go to a gas station every morning before you go to work. You go to a particular gas station. So going to this particular gas station may be a particular cashier that you interact with on a daily basis. So for example, you can say, oh, this cashier never showed any interest in me, right? However, if you may walk in there on a particular day and they actually show interest, because your energy is different. It's not because they like you or they don't like you. Nothing is set in stone like that. Reality don't work like that. Oh, I don't like this person, I'm never going to like this person. You may walk in one day and they feel a different type of way because your energy is different, because your thoughts are different, because you're using your mental alchemy. What's good? What's good? I see you. Because you're using your mental alchemy, you are changing your whole frequency. Because you change your whole frequency, now people that you may have interacted with over and over again will start to interact with you differently, because you're switching up your energy, because you're doing the mental alchemy. So when this person shows interest, or whoever the fuck, you have to be able to detect the interest when it's shown. You have to be able to detect it. So this is where you go into the physical reality and you pay attention to things. You got to know who's looking, who's not, how people feel, how people don't feel, right? So you said it's happening, it's relevant happening to you right now. Exactly. So we know what it is. So never judge energy by the cover. So just because somebody don't fuck with you yesterday, don't mean that they won't fuck with you today. As simple as that. And again, you don't have to go to the same place. It could be you can be walking down the street, driving in the car, look over, somebody's already looking at you, whatever. You know how this shit happens. It's random. You never really know where it's going to happen. You just know it will happen at some point. You never really know where, but it will happen. So once you detect who has interest, who's showing you interest based on your energy, now you can direct your energy towards them, which goes into the last universal law, the law of gender. Gender means choose your playground. In other words, we know gender is masculine, feminine. It's going to be a masculine energy, it's going to be a feminine energy. So let's just say you're a guy. This doesn't have to strictly be with women of the opposite sex. You can use the same energy to interact with people who feel the same way as you. To build a team. You can say build a team of people who think just like you. So we're just using the erotic nature of reality as an example, but you can use any thought. We're just using the erotic as an example. So you can use the same energy to attract more people who feel the same way you feel and think the same way you think, so that you can build a team. So it doesn't strictly have to be directed to the opposite sex. But of course, since we're talking about the opposite sex, once you detect who's feeling you, you can direct that energy to the masculine or the feminine force. This depends on what you are trying to do personally. So now that you detect who's fucking with you and who isn't, you know that when you approach or when you interact with this person, you already know what to do, because you already know it's interest there. So I don't have to pretend. I don't have to put on the act. I just have to be myself, because I know the energy will carry me along. I don't have to say the right words or think the right thoughts. The energy in and of itself has been built up enough to where it will carry itself. So things will, as they say, flow naturally. It happens naturally, right? You allow the thing to flow naturally. Simple as that, right? So I'm just giving y'all, excuse me, what's up, Anna? Much love. So I'm just giving y'all examples of how you will use words to open up portals. You can use any word. However, let's take it a step further. Let's deal with the planets. And we'll get up out of here. We ain't going to take too much time. So the same way I just went down the 7 universal laws, let's go down the planets. From the sun all the way to Mars. From 1 all the way to 9. And of course we know 0 is what's making everything possible. You're moving through the 0 to even get to the 1. And once you pass a 9, you're going right back into the 0. And it repeats itself over again. Right? Excuse me. So let's go into the sun, the number 1. Because again, we start with 0, the ethers. So the thoughts is moving through the ethers. So we already know that. So we already have the 0 in place. So when we move on to the 1, so how would this same scenario play out using the planets? What principle does each planet bring to this scenario? Let's find out. So the first number, the number 1, which deals with the energy of the sun. When we think about the energy of the sun, what do we see? We see concentrated energy. The sun is a concentration of energy, right? It's a ball of fire, or a so-called ball of fire. It's concentrated energy. So it's bringing the principle of concentrating your thoughts, as we were just speaking about, right? So the sun is letting you know to concentrate your thoughts. Because when you look at the sun, you have to concentrate to even stare into the sun. At proper times, for those who are in the sun gazing, at sunrise or sunset. When you stare into the sun, you start to see all type of colors and shit, right? So the sun starts off yellow, then it starts to appear bluish, then it starts to appear reddish. Then the sun starts to move, and it eventually turns black. For those who have sun gaze, you know what I'm talking about. It's like you go through every color of the rainbow, then the sun starts to move, it turns black, and it eventually disappears. That's through your concentration. Your concentration will have the sun and all going through every spectrum of light till it becomes black, till it actually disappears and you can't even perceive the sun, although you're looking straight into it. That's what it means to concentrate your thoughts. So the sun is giving you the principle of concentrating your thoughts. That's how you're able to penetrate into that vortex we were talking about. Now let's move to the number 2, the energy of the moon. So what is it? What is the energy of the moon? What are we actually trying to penetrate? That concentration of thought. If you concentrate your thought, or you compress your thoughts, or bring your thoughts in, because most of the time our thoughts are scattered all over the place because it's 1,000,001 things happening all around us. But once we can tune all that bullshit out and concentrate our thoughts, we know that it's going to penetrate the subconscious mind, the energy of the moon. The more concentrated your thoughts, it starts to open up a portal in your subconscious mind, and we know it's all about programming the subconscious mind. But in order to open up the subconscious mind, your thoughts have to be compressed enough to even, or in other words, you can say that the subconscious mind is so subtle that you have to concentrate something. You say a big ball of light has to be compressed into a little point of energy, and that little point of energy is strong enough, like a laser beam, right? You have the energy of the sun, but then you have a laser beam. So you concentrate that energy into a laser beam, and that laser beam is powerful enough to penetrate the subconscious mind. It has to be this little laser beam of light. It can't be this big energy of the sun. It has to be compressed into this laser beam. And that laser beam is powerful enough to penetrate into the subconscious mind, which stirs up your emotions, as we were talking about before. So in order to stir up those emotions, you have to concentrate the energy into a laser beam, and that laser beam is able to penetrate the subconscious mind, and that's going to get the emotions stirred up, because now you're into your subconscious mind. So you've penetrated your subconscious mind when those emotions start to flare up. So okay, I'm making progress, because now you're feeling emotional. Not, emotional in a bad way, but emotional where you can feel your energy and you can feel your emotions, and you're applying it with the thoughts. Let's move forward. We know number 3 is the planet of Jupiter. Jupiter now, once you start feeling these emotions, right, stirring up within you, now you can expand it into your overall aura, as we were just talking about before. So we see we're going through the same process, we're just taking a different path. So it don't matter whether we use the 7 universal laws or the 9 planets. We let that go past. Right? So it don't matter if we're going through these 7 universal laws or these 9 planets, we're still going to end up with the same result. So I'm just showing you a different path to end up with the same result. So going back to Jupiter. So once those emotions are stirred up, now you want to direct and expand the energy. So now you can direct that energy outside of yourself and charge up your aura with this erotic energy. So you charge up your aura. So now that those emotions, what's good, William? Now that these energies is moving all around you, you want to expand it into your outer aura, or your emotional body and your astral body and all that. You want to expand it beyond that. So now your aura is charged with erotic sexual energy, which will arouse people when they interact with you. So you are expanding your own personal energy outside of yourself so people can feel it now. Instead of the energy being compressed within you and hidden within you, now you can expand this energy, and it actually expands into your aura. Somebody said it's 9 universal laws. That's after the fact. The 7 universal laws are older. Now, I know what you're talking about with the 9 universal laws, but that came after. I'm just dealing with the original science. You get what I'm saying? So those nine universal laws came after. That's somebody who added on to it. And I'm not saying that they're wrong, but we're just dealing with the basics. We don't really want to go too advanced without understanding the basics. So again, if you got those 7 or those 9 universal laws committed to memory, then so be it. But we're just going to deal with the 7 for now, because erotic breaks down to the number 7. So we're dealing with the original science. Is this no flap related? Again, it depends on your own personal energy. If masturbating and releasing semen lowers your energy, then don't do it. If you're unaffected by that because your sexual energy is so high, then it is what it is. So you have to make that decision personally based on your own personal energy levels. So if you got enough energy, and again, if you follow this process, you should have enough energy to the point where you can bust 5 times a day and still have enough energy to get up and go to work in the morning. You can please 5 different women every day and still have enough energy to go to work. If you build up your energy enough. So this is about, if you don't have enough energy, you need to build the energy up. So again, it's just clear off on lips. You need to build up more energy. What's good, Mercedes? So now we move on to the number 4, which is Rahu. Rahu gives you the map of your playing field. In other words, once you have charged your aura up with this sexual erotic energy, Now you can map your playing field, or in other words, where can I go to do experiments? So Rahu, the number 4, now starts to map out the process. Like, okay, where can I go to do experiments? Do I go to the club? Do I go to the corner store? Do I go to the gas station? Now you start to think about, where do I need to go to see who's feeling my energy, right? So because Rahu is all about ambition, right? It's all about, directing this force now. So, okay, now you're like, where do I go? What do I do? So now you start to map out your playing field. Now you're like, okay, let me go over there. There's a lot of women over there, or a lot of dudes over there. Let me go over there. Let me try over here. Let me try over here. So now you start to do experiments. So once your aura is charged with this erotic energy, now you want to go amongst other people to see who's feeling you and who isn't, right? So you see, it's the same process, just a different path. Now, going to the number 5, which is Mercury. So what does Mercury have to do with it? We know Mercury is about the spoken and the written word, right? So, science versus art. This is because Mercury is all about blending things together. So science versus art. What's the difference? Art is going with the flow. When something is artistic, or when you say, oh, it's an art to this shit, that means you are going with the flow or something. The science is, it has structures and limitations and boundaries. Basically, you can say when you go to school to learn something, you're learning the science of things, because it's already been concentrated into a book. A teacher is already teaching it, so it's already been structured. It's already been boxed in, and you're learning from that. Now, art is going with the flow. There is no boundaries with art, because everything is in the moment when it's artistic. So Mercury is just giving you insight into the science as well as the art, because we need both of those. So when you're actually going out trying to find people to work your magic on, you need to be artistic, going with the flow, as well as have structure and boundaries. But we're going to deal with that a little bit later. So Mercury is about integrating the science and the artistic nature of things, as well as being able to influence people with your voice, with your spoken and your written word. Art, being able to create art. You can influence people with your art. So if somebody's already feeling you, and you having an artistic tongue, for example, or artistic thoughts, then this is how you communicate with people. You don't communicate with people like, how's the weather? How's your day going? What are you doing today? Yada, yada, yada. All this shit all that so-called small talk, you don't do that. You communicate artistically with people who that you see have an interest in you. You approach them and you interact with them artistically. You show your artistic side. You don't ask stupid ass basic questions that don't have nothing to do just trying to make conversation. You're not trying to make conversation. You're trying to share a union with somebody. In order to do that, you must be artistic with your expression. That's the number 9. Exactly. Ask them about their story. You need to communicate artistically with people, especially if you're trying to integrate with their energies. Moving on to Venus. Venus is all about flirting, right? So we know if we need to interact with somebody artistically, we know this is basically, another word to say this is flirting. When you are flirting with somebody, you are interacting with them on a level that is subconscious. In other words, you can be saying any fucking thing. You can be asking somebody anything, but if they're feeling your energy, it's going to come off well. You can be talking about stupid shit. But of course, we know, because we're dealing with Mercury, we're not going to be talking about stupid shit. We're going to be talking about artistic shit. So Venus is the art, not the science, the art of flirting. The art of flirting is really, as we see here, knowing if your game is tight. In other words, whether you're male or female, you prove into yourself that you know what you are doing. Because again, if we take a step back, we go to Rahu. Rahu is establishing the map or the foundation. Where can I go to do experiments? Mercury is dealing with the artistic nature as well as the science. Then when we get to Venus, you're actually in the moment flirting with somebody and seeing if these things work. So all this was just a thesis or a hypothesis until you got out in the field. And once you get into the field, now you're building up your knowingness or your self-confidence, because now you're flirting. You're engaging with the opposite sex or the same sex, depending on what you want to do. Now you're actually engaging with people or flirting with people. Now that positive and that negative charge are interacting together, creating these whirlwinds, opening up these portals. And that builds up your self-confidence. Okay, I know when somebody likes me and when somebody doesn't. That's what Venus is building up. Knowing when somebody fucks with you and when somebody doesn't, based on flirting. You can't really flirt with somebody who's not really fucking with you. Or maybe you can. But again, when you utilize your artistic communication, then you will know what I'm talking about. Moving forward to number 7, K2. And we know K2 is all about the spiritual nature of reality. Now, it's an ever-present reality, right? Now, again, K2 is all about knowing. If we're dealing with the spirituality of anything, you must know. You cannot be spiritual without knowing some type of truth about yourself. So K2 is getting to the point where now you know what's real and what's not. So Venus is going engaging to seeing what's real and what's not. K2 is now you know. Now you don't have to do anything. Now you don't have to go anywhere specific. So when you know, now you don't have to go to the gas station. You don't have to go to the club. You don't have to go over here. You don't have to go over there. You know that it's an ever-present reality. It can happen any fucking where at any time. It don't even need to be planned because now you know. Now you know I can click it on and click it off instantly. Don't matter where I am or what I'm doing. So you first had to establish a map and do experiments, but now you understand I don't have to do anything specific. This is an ever-present reality, and I can turn it on and turn it off at will because now I know when I see it, I know it now because I didn't went through this process. I know it when I see it. So it's all about detecting it when I see it, which was talked about with the 7 universal laws, right? So now moving on to Saturn. So now that we know, and now we don't have to do anything specific, it becomes an ever-present reality, right? Now we move on to Saturn, the number 8. The number 8 is building formulas based on experiment. So now that you know, now you can build up strategies and formulas based on your experiments. So Saturn, Saturn is all about structure, right? Principles, power, prestige. So Saturn is about building a structure. Now you're building up formulas based on what you know. So basically, like when somebody writes a book on their life, they're building up formulas based on what they've been through. They're writing about what they actually been through, and now they're giving it structure, turning their experiences into a book. So Saturn gives you this structure. So now that you know, based on the K2 with the number 7, now that you know when you go to the number 8 and deal with the energy of Saturn, now you can build up formulas. You build formulas based on what you know, or techniques, whatever you want to call it. Now you can build up strategies and formulas based on your experience. And lastly, when we deal with the energy of Mars, Mars is all about strategy and war. So now, just like we was going, the number 4 was about mapping the playing field out. When you get to the number 9, now you're going out into the field with a solid strategy that you know works. Now you don't have to think no more. Now it's strictly artistic. You don't have to give no logical thought into nothing because you have got into the artistic realm, expanded your aura. And now you know what works and what doesn't. Now you have that knowing. You build up formulas and now you have a solid strategy. And it flows, exactly, it flows naturally at this point once you get to the number 9. Because you have a solid strategy. And now when you want something, you can go out and get it without even thinking about it. Right? Simple as that. So, any questions? Right? So we just went through that real quick. We don't want to take up too much time. But hey, definitely utilize these things for the best of your ability. I know people typing questions, but I just wanted to get this out. So if you have a question, let me know before we get up out of here. Let me pick up this pen real quick. All right. We good. Spoken with great clarity. Appreciate that, Sharice. Shout out to you. Salute to you. Salute to my number 7 heads, my number 7 life path numbers. You know what I mean? Right? So how y'all feeling? Does it make sense? Do I need to clarify anything else? Y'all let me know before we get up out of here. Well, if y'all good, we can say that. What's up with the Facebook group? I got somebody doing artwork for me right now. So I expanded, so I'm not doing it all myself. So the only thing I really need to do, I just need to lay this foundation, then I would say give it about 10 days, 10 to 14 days, it'll be up. So stay tuned. You were number 7, shout out to you. How do you use symbols and geometry to manifest? It's basically the same thing. You just want to know what each symbol does. So go to symbolsdictionary.net, find out what the symbols do, and utilize it based on what they do. So when you know, okay, this symbol resonates with the energy of Mars, this symbol resonates with the energy of Venus, this symbol resonates with the sun, because I just went through all the planets. So once you know what each symbol does, you can utilize whichever symbol you want to increase. If you want to increase the solar energy, which will help in your concentration, if you want to increase the Mercury energy, which will help you be more artistic, then you do so. So if you want to work with symbols, just know what planet or what vibration they vibrate to, then you can utilize it. So if you want to place the symbol, you know, the first thing you see when you wake up is that symbol, or you can carry the symbol with you. It all depends. So what does it mean to see the same numbers over and over in threes, like 424, 24, 333, 555, happens to me every day? I say take it to the dream world, because I was just like you. I was seeing numbers all over the place. I'm, going online, I'm typing up stuff, I'm looking up definitions, but nothing was really sticking with me. It wasn't until I started chanting numbers before I went to sleep and I took those thoughts into the dream world, then I started to have my own personal experience of what it actually means for me personally. So if you want to know what they mean to you personally, then you need to chant these numbers. So it's not enough to see them. You need to chant them. They are all, remember, these numbers are energies. They are frequencies, right? So you need to take it to the dream world and see for yourself what's really up. Like lucid dreaming, absolutely, absolutely. So you can tie all these things together: astral travel, lucid dreaming. For those who who need help with astral traveling, get the book Astral Dynamics by Robert Bruce. Astral Dynamics by Robert Bruce. That'll get you on your astral travels. Good. So concentrate on those numbers before you go into the dream world. Then observe your dreams to see what it means for you personally. Because again, 6 people can see 555, but it can have 6 different meanings depending on who that person is. So take it into the dream world, and you need to observe what it means for you personally. We always create with our thoughts in mind, applying our experiences to our life source. Absolutely. Do I feel like I'm dreaming right now? No, I don't feel like I'm dreaming right now. Absolutely not. Like I'm not faded or nothing. Like at this point it's like I'm just smoking just to go to sleep. You know what I mean? I'm not even smoking just to be high and just to, get into the zone and all that, because I just use these numbers. Who's the book author? Robert Bruce. Robert Bruce, like Bruce Lee. So it's just simple. Robert Bruce. Astral Dynamics, to get your astral travels on point, your lucid dreaming on point, so that you can do more spiritual work, right? So it starts with the physical realm, but then you take it deeper into your subconscious mind to see what it means for you personally. And this is when you discover your hidden potentials and your powers and all that. You need to take it into the astral realm. That's why I say it's levels to this shit. It's levels. Like I dedicated like a full 6 months to dream work and astral work. Just strictly. I ain't doing nothing else but seeing what's going on in my own mind. I got whole books of dream journals. I got whole books of shit because I was just every day. So, all right, I can give y'all my personal technique, but it may not work for you. But I'll give it to you nonetheless. Like I said, at first, I sleep on the floor. Sleep on the floor. I need something hard. I need to sleep on a hard surface. Sleep on the floor. I tie a bandana around my eyes so I don't see no artificial light. I sleep with a bowl of water or a cup of water above my head with sea salt. So you're sleeping on the floor. You got a cup of water with sea salt above your head. You got crystals and copper pennies around. I put crystals that resonate with the third eye. Such as tanzanite, sodalite, lapis lazuli, so on and so forth. Then I got copper pennies, whatever. So, what else do I have? I make sure that I sleep on my back. Sleep on your back. Don't sleep on your sides. Don't sleep on your stomach. Sleep on your back. And lastly, you have a thought concentrated in your mind before you actually go to sleep. That's the technique I use. You can try it out and, add variations, add some things, take some things away, depending on what you need. So that's how I do it personally. Add on to it, extract it, do whatever you need to do to get in the dream world. You know what I mean? Can you make a dream catcher? Absolutely. No reason why you can't. So definitely make a dream catcher if that helps you, or you can just print out a picture of a dream catcher if you don't have one physically. And that's what I mean by using the sacred geometry going into the dream. So it all depends on what you want to do. Be artistic with your dream work and your energy work. Right? Do what's necessary. So again, we're going to get up out of here. Hopefully y'all take this information. Y'all charge up your erotic natures. You know what I mean? For all my sexual beings out there, 999. You know what I mean? So this is how you do it, strictly using your thoughts. So you don't have to buy these products. You don't have to do any, buy these books and products. And you just memorize these. I keep telling y'all, memorize these laws, and you can figure out how to do anything in life utilizing these numbers, utilizing these universal laws, utilizing these planetary energies. You just need to, I'm just giving y'all the techniques. You see how I can break down all these and I can go down the path. We can talk about any title under the sun. I'm just giving y'all the techniques. This is how you can do it personally for anything. So any question you have, any technique you need to learn, any thought that you're trying to manifest, this is the path to do so. And again, this is just an introduction. This is just a foundation. There's more things beyond. You can go to, sorry about that. I'm getting pretty excited. You can use Supreme Mathematics. You can use Supreme Alphabet. You can use the Holy Tablets. You can use the Holy Bible. You can do the Quran. Have I ever done Tantra before? Absolutely. I specialize in that field. Like, I have these magic hands. Like I'm a massage therapist. I don't say it because, again, we ain't got to talk about that right now. That'll just be for people who actually meet me in person. You'll be able to, see what I'm talking about. But other than that, we all have the ability to increase this erotic energy regardless of whom or what. So lastly, we're going to get up out of here. Shout out to all the massage therapists. Shout out to all the healers. Shout out to all the sexual workers out there. No judgment over here. We know that we all do divine work. Regardless of what people think, how people feel, we all doing our alchemy. We came down here to transmute our DNA. So, I'll be back at y'all tomorrow. Salute. Peace, Hotep. Chaos, destruction, 999.